Okay, guys, just shift that slightly a little bit. Okay, that's great. Thank you. All right.
One more. Thank you.
Okay, ready? Okay, come on. Run. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Take a seat.
Good evening, everybody. Apologies for the slight delay. It's my fault. We're handling some paperwork with the elections. The SDP has introduced 4 candidates today, and today we're presenting another 2 candidates. On my right is Mr. John Tan, no stranger to you all, Vice Chairman of the SDP, as well as Head of the IT Department. For those of you who are obsessed with age, he's 54 years old, married with 3 kids. He is a social psychologist and lecturer in psychology and statistics for Murdoch University at Kaplan, Singapore. He holds a bachelor's degree from Fresno Pacific, a Christian liberal arts university in California, and a master's degree from my alma mater, University of Wisconsin in Madison. He has done research in intrinsic motivation and empowerment, and right now I'll hand you over to Mr. John Tan. John.
Hi. Yeah, I'm all come to be in this contest, and it is with great anticipation that I look forward to this day, because it's been long overdue when our parliament debates goes unchallenged, and I think the people out there need to have a voice to speak for them, and I would like to be that voice.
On my left is Mr. Sidek, SDP member and our candidate. He's 55 years old, married with 4 children, and he works as a compliance auditor with a reputable security company for many years. I'll hand you over to Mr. Sidek.
Hi. I've been with SDP since 2011. I feel that it's time for SDP to be heard because of its very good alternative policies, and I'm here to assist them to be that voice.
Short and sharp. Thank you very much, Sidek. So now the floor is open for questions from any of you from the media.
Perhaps could you share, if the both of you were to be elected, what issues would you champion, and why are these issues so important to you?
Very good. We'll start with John.
Well, for me, the income gap, I think, is getting from bad to ridiculous. And what is worse is to hear our leader here, our political leader, trying to justify that by saying that we have to accept natural aristocratic, whatever that means. So I think even the poor deserve a decent living beyond just mere substance, beyond just mere existence.
I'm 55 this year, and it's about time I withdraw my CPF. That is my concern now. Okay, so I've got another until 67 before I can even realize my money, which is locked up, which is also unfair to me, because I know I can manage it myself. I think the government cannot manage my funds for me. That's how I feel.
I think he speaks for a lot of 55-year-olds and those approaching 55 like me. Any other questions from the audience?
So for John, you mentioned income gap earlier. Could you share why is this issue so important to you personally?
Well, for one, I came from a poor family, and I have seen our little kampong become this big city with big, nice building. Our airport has always been hailed as one of the best in the world and such. But yet, you'll find that a lot of people are still poor. A lot of low-income people still, hardly could exist day to day from hand to mouth. And I think that is not fair to them. Because when I was a kid, I remember in school I was a prefect, and I used to lead the entire school in saying the pledge that I have grown to be very proud of, to build a democratic society based on justice and equality. Then I look around me, where's the equality? Where's the justice? Well, I want to ensure that this ideal we have encoded in our pledge becomes a reality.
Well said, John. Any other comments, questions?
Mr. Philip, could you give a bit more about your background and why you chose to enter politics?
Like I said, I followed the SDP since 2011. Right? I've been to their rallies, right? And I've also looked at how SDP was led by Dr. Chi, and I feel that he has the tenacity to go through all the troubles that he had, and yet he is compassionate, he is determined to address the issues of Singaporeans, our issues, my issues. And I feel that if I do not step up, then who else? I'm a true-bred Singaporean, I'm a patriot. I should step up.
Totally agree. That's what we need, people to step up, people like Sidek. Any other questions?
Mr. Tan, I realized that you contested in 2011 as part of the Sembawang seat, which won 36% of the vote. How are you and your team looking to improve on the performance?
Well, firstly, it pretty much depends on the people. We have done our part in reaching out to them, and between then and now, period of about 4 years, I have been on the ground with my colleagues in SDP. We have reached out to the people, we have helped the people over there who are from the low-income groups. We have spoken to them and got feedback from them, and we have showed them that the SDP has the solution to a better Singapore. So it's up to them now to put us into Parliament.
If I may add, in fact, if you go to our website under ground operations, you can see pictures of John and the others reaching out to the residents of what was then a big GRC in Sembawang, and now it's been split into Marsiling UT and obviously Sembawang as well.
Excuse me, I've got a question for both Mr. Tan and Mr. Sidek. Is there any particular policy that you might like to change or implement? Your view on that?
Oh, quite a few actually. If you look at again our website, and if you are following the launch of our policy paper, there is over half a dozen of those. Personally, to me, the most important one is the one that addresses this income gap. And also, as an educator, I am also very concerned about the education policies. The way it is right now in Singapore, it seems like our education system is built to train people basically for the job market, pretty much. Economy is important, I'm sure. I'm not denying that. But I think we should look at every individual as a creative being, and an education system that recognize that and that educates people and not just train them for the job market is a good educational system, and I want to ensure that we have a good educational system in the future.
Any particular plans for the education system that you hope to see implemented?
Well, there's so much to tweak actually. We'll be here all night if I go through every single one of them. One, for instance, is the streaming. The idea of streaming has been in Singapore for a while, even though right now the MOE say officially they have removed that. But you see, in reality, streaming is still pretty much alive and kicking. And you just go to a school, a primary school or a secondary school, and you'll find that some of these schools have changed since a while ago from, like for instance, secondary to A to B to C, right? They have changed to 2 apple, 2 carrot, 2 tomato, whatever, trying to mask it. But then just ask any of the kid, which is the best class in your cohort, and they will tell you which class exactly, because they know that even though officially we are supposed to not stream the children, but school are pretty much still doing that. That's just one of many examples I can say.
Sidek?
Thank you, John, for being very succinct. So, to add to that, education is also a very important part of my course here, because I have 4 children, 4 school-going children, right? Questions arise: what will happen to their future if they are not given a fair level playing field? I have I have a child in secondary school, 2 children in secondary school, sorry, and they also fear the pressure that they have, right? Exams, right? Constant tuition, constant staying after school for lessons, constant homework. What is the government take on this? Our children need to enjoy their youth. So these are pertinent questions as a parent.
Thank you, Sidek. Yes, question from the back?
Ya, soalan untuk Cik Sidek. Jika anda berjaya menjadi wakil kami di Parlimen, apakah rencana anda untuk membantu masyarakat Malay? Pasnya?
Can I answer that in English?
Do both.
Can I deflect?
Well, there's a lot that opposition Malay candidates can do for the Malay community, right? So Mr. Sidek here is well aware of what needs to be done, and we are the only political party, not even the PAP has it, but we have a Malay policy paper we put our policies in black and white, and you can refer to the paper, and I'm sure the Malay candidates representing the party will follow through what we have mentioned in the policy paper. Saya penuh yakin SDP akan berlaku adil, bukan seperti apa yang kita lihat sekarang, ada pilih kasih, diskriminasi, dan SDP adalah satu-satunya parti politik yang ada dasar untuk masyarakat Melayu yang mempelopori dan untuk membasmi apa jenis diskriminasi terhadap masyarakat. Banyak isu-isu yang kita dengarkan dalam kertas dasar itu, saya yakin wakil-wakil Melayu dalam SDP akan memperjuangkannya. Jadi saya rasa Encik Siddiq dan kita punya seorang lagi calon Melayu yang akan sama-sama Encik Siddiq sama kami semua dalam SDP untuk memperjuangkan apa yang tidak adil bagi masyarakat.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yes.
Siddiq, what are the ages of your 4 children?
He's going to get prompting from his wife.
One is in Sec 1. He's going to be 13 this year. One is doing O levels, right?
16?
16. One is doing private study. She's 18. Another one has just graduated from NUS.
How old is
She is 24.
Yes, in the back.
Mr. Tan, earlier you talked a bit about streaming. Is this a policy that you plan to see a change? What exactly do you plan to do to abolish this streaming system or address this issue?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you always start with policy, right? Of course, the details, the nitty-gritties can be done by the, ministries and the administrators. But in terms of policy, one have to realize that the children, especially of a very young age, streaming doesn't work, and streaming is going to work against them. It is a lot of kids, for example, at the age of 5, at the age of 4, if you ask them, what do you want to do when you grow up? Everyone says, I want to be a doctor or a fireman or whatever, without really understanding the implication. What makes us think that they know the full implication by the time they are primary 4 or 5 or 6? Streaming at young age is not good, period. When they're older, perhaps, when they're going to tertiary education at that level, perhaps. So these are things that we have to look at seriously. And a lot of children, for example, do not find education enjoyable here. And it is not natural, really. It is because of something we impose upon them artificially. Now, all you have to do is just go to a kindergarten, and you'll watch the kids. Whenever a teacher asks a question, what do? They would just put up their hand and say, "Cheer, cheer, me," right? Then you go to a class when they are primary 2, and teacher asks a question. What response do you get? Yeah, something happens between then and then, because we kill the enthusiasm with our kind of rote and harsh educational demand.
So what's an alternative to that?
Well, again, if you look at our policy paper on education, we have put in place quite a few things there. I mean, I can't go into the details unless you want to stay here with me till tomorrow. So,
So
like I
one
said,
you could focus on.
Sorry?
So one you could focus on.
just one. Yeah. For example, removing
Labeling.
labels, one, and removing national exams such as PSLE, right? I think those are really unnecessary. Those put so much pressure on children unnecessarily, and you have seen in the news, and some of you might have reported it, that some of our kids are actually committing suicide. Such extreme examples we're looking at in our society. That ought to be stopped.
Again, the education policy is on the website. And if that's too long for you, there's actually a good article in Dr. Chi's blog where he talks about his own experiences growing up in ACS and then going overseas to study, and how he resisted the label of being somebody who couldn't make it. And then later on, he eventually got a scholarship and did his PhD. So, and I think this is one of the hallmarks of what the SDP's education policy, and in fact the entire SDP approach to policy has been, is we don't want to pigeonhole people, we don't want to classify them and stratify them at a very early age, but we recognize that everybody has got something to contribute to Singapore, no matter who they are. And it may come out later on in life, it may come out early on in life, but basically you just don't let people be. Let them do what they're good at doing, and don't just force them into a box or a pigeonhole. Yes?
Mr. Siddiq, if I may ask, why did you deflect the question just now?
This is the most experienced Malay politician in Singapore. Yes?
Please. Okay. I'm not too well versed in Malay, so I'm dependent on assistance from Mr. Jeffrey. So that's my honest answer.
You shouldn't take it on him on that. Okay. Well, nowadays people don't speak a lot of Malay, although it's a national language. So being a Malay, he speaks Malay, but to speak in a situation like that, he may not be able to express himself as he should. So don't fault him for that. Of course, after he is elected, we will make sure that he will brush up his Malay. Okay, take my word for it. So don't fault him for that. Tomorrow, maybe the headlines will come out. The Malay candidate deflected, but we don't worry about that. If he is elected, within give him a few months, it should be okay.
John, you spoke a lot about streaming in education and why you're so against it. You mentioned earlier that you have 3 kids, if I'm not wrong. Is it something that you saw your kids have to go through and that's why you feel so strongly about it? Any personal anecdotes?
Actually, if I have to give an anecdote, it will probably be from myself more than my kids, because my children, some of them grew up elsewhere and was educated in US because I spent about 10 years in the USA. So myself, I mean, I have been through that. The American has a way of saying that, I've been there, done that. And, I know what it's about, and I know the difficulty we have to go through. And just now, if you are casting an eye upon my colleague here who can't speak Malay very well, I stand guilty as charged too, as far as my Chinese is concerned. I don't have a lot of opportunity to, speak good Chinese. Why? Because when I was a kid, I happened to hang out with a bunch of friends who mostly converse in English. So, naturally, English becomes my more natural language, and we begin to converse mostly in English. And I see Chinese as something I have to pick up just because I have to pass my examination, right? So I 可以讲华语一点点, yeah, but anything deeper than that, I'll be at a loss. But that does not mean I have a disconnect between me and my fellow Chinese citizens, right? I'm still as concerned for them as much.
Can we get one last question? Yes?
Two questions for Mr. Tan.
Two last questions from you. Yes.
Yeah, so earlier you spoke about being on the ground and reaching out to low-income groups and providing solutions to them. Can you just share what are some concrete examples of these solutions? And secondly, you also asked just now, where is the equality? So how would you go about achieving this equality?
Well, okay, the two questions are very related, and in fact, there's one solution for both questions. You know, the paper that we have, our STP paper, again, if you refer to them, talks about the having a minimum wage, right? One of the solution, not the only, but one of the solution is to have minimum wage so that people who works 8 hours a week, 8 hours a day, 44 hours a week, would not have to then seek another job. They can then have a decent living because of minimum wage. Right now, as it is, you see so many people having to have hold down 2 jobs just to make ends meet. You see people sweeping our floor, cleaning our table at the hawker center, and what do they get at the end of the month? $800, $1,000. That is not fair. That is not equal, right? So if you can take just this one step, and I think that solves a lot of problems already. But if you read our paper, we have many more solutions than just that.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for the candidates as well. Thank you.
We are doing biopolitics for the new
Yeah, we'll send you the same thing. The
questions like
favorite place and favorite
You
place.
send it to us, right?
Yeah, you will know that. Thank you.
Yeah,
18 to 26.
Wait, 29.